Hi students, Ms. Cohen here. Today we are going to learn how to make a origami dragon eye. I can't wait to see what you make. Thanks for watching. Hi students, Ms. Cohen here, and today we are going to learn how to make a dragon eye origami. So a dragon eye that's actually going to open and shut. Now to do this, you're going to need a paper and a pencil. It would be very helpful if you also have scissors. It'll be helpful to have a ruler. And it'd be really nice if you have something to color with, like color pencils or crayons, but you don't need any of that to do this project. So we're gonna get started with some folding. Now, most of you know that with origami, you really, most of the time, need to start with a square, but my paper is a rectangle. Of course, you can use lined paper, any other paper you have. I'm gonna show you how to turn it into a square. You're gonna take that top corner, bring it down till it touches the side of your paper, and then carefully smooth that diagonal fold. See, I didn't quite match it up correctly, so I'm just gonna kind of pinch it a little bit so that it matches. There we go. Fix that fold. With origami, you really want to be as neat as possible. Craftsmanship really counts. If your folds aren't neat, then your final creation is going to be a little bit messy. So we've got this folded triangle here. We're going to cut off this bottom rectangle. This is where it's nice to have scissors. If you don't have scissors, you can fold it back and forth, maybe 4 or 5 times, and then very, very carefully rip it off. I'm going to show you with scissors. I'm just going to cut it off. I don't like to keep it pinched together. Again, take your time. Be neat and careful with these steps. Okay, origami is not something to rush. All right, there you go. Now we've got our circle, our square, and the first step of our origami dragon eye is actually completed. If you're starting with a square paper, that first step is folding it in half, one corner to the opposite corner, and then opening it back up. You're gonna do that one more time, corner to corner. Again, carefully matching everything up as best you can. Smoothing that fold and opening back up so that you have an X in the middle of your paper. You're gonna rotate it so that one corner points towards you. You're gonna take that corner, you're gonna bring it up to the center. Now, if it helps you to draw a little dot where the center is, you can definitely do that. It helps me. Get that corner, touch the dot, and smooth. Same thing with the top corner. Bring it down to touch that dot. Oh, got a little wrinkle in there. Smooth it out. Okay. Next, we're going to fold this bottom edge up to the center. Kind of covering up that little triangle point, lining it up to that center line as carefully, as closely as we can, and smooth. Same thing with the top. Now you can see sometimes when you try to push it forward, that tip also tries to come forward. You don't want that to happen. You might need to keep a finger down there to keep it in place. All right, and press. So you really want these two pieces of paper to be practically touching each other. Okay. Next, we are going to open it back up all the way. So we've got a whole bunch of lines on our paper. And we're going to take that bottom tip, that triangle, fold it in to touch the line, fold it one more time. Same thing on the top. Fold that point in to touch the line. Should already be a fold in there. And then one more time. Okay, before we do any more folding, we're actually going to pause here and we're going to draw the eye of our dragon. So if you want to trace a circle for this step, something that will fit nicely right in between here, you can. I'm just going to draw freehand best I can. Take your time. We are not in a rush. If you need to pause the video, of course, you can always pause the video. All right, if it's not a perfect circle, no big deal. Next, you're going to decide what pupil shape you want to include. Now, we talked about this in our lesson. Different animals, different classes of animals have different pupil shapes. So depending on what kind of class you want your dragon to belong to, you can use that to help you decide what pupil shape to add. I think I'm going to go with like a snake crocodile kind of pupil. So to do that, I'm going to use kind of this center line here as a guide. Do a curved line on one side, curved line on the other. Now in doing that, I realize my circle is not very symmetrical, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. That's why we draw lightly. Keep an eraser nearby. All right, that's a little bit more symmetrical now. I'm going to add some little circles on the inside for a highlight. Some different sizes. Feeling fancy, you could even add like a little star for a highlight. Give your dragon sort of a magical feeling. And then we're going to just open it just a little bit to sort of sketch like a football shape for the rest of our eye. Again, you can use the folds to kind of help you make it symmetrical. Those lines are kind of like guiding lines. All right, that's the basic shape of our dragon eye. I'm going to pause here and give you a couple options for coloring it in. You could just use a marker to outline it. You can use crayons, colored pencils if you have it. If you have paint, if you have oil pastel, you can use any art material to add color to the inside of your eye. All right, if you are choosing to color in your dragon eye, you can use colored pencils or crayons or oil pastels. I wouldn't recommend using marker because we're going to be coloring on both sides of the paper, and marker can bleed through to the other side. So I'm going to show you a little trick you might want to try for blending two different colors together. I'm going to start with green and yellow, and I'm going to blend these together in the pupil, okay? To blend any two colors, you're going to start by coloring on one half of your shape, whatever that shape is. Press pretty hard. And you're come close to the middle, but not quite of the shape. And switch to your other color. It's a little tricky here because I'm trying to leave those highlights white, so I'm trying not to get any yellow in them. But same thing, I'm pressing pretty hard. Headed towards the center of that shape. Okay. And you're gonna go back with that first color and start pressing a little bit lighter as you get closer and closer to the other color. As I get closer to the yellow, I'm pressing lighter and lighter till I just barely touch the yellow. Very light. Same thing with that yellow. I'm going to overlap that green, pressing lighter as I start to touch the other side, the other color. All right. And you're going to have to keep going back and forth a couple times to really make this color change look as smooth and gradual as possible. You're pressing really, really lightly with the other colors going back and forth. Like that. If you want to outline your highlights, kind of cover up that pencil line, you can. Now, you can blend any two colors together using this technique, but I do want you to think about using analogous colors. Those are going to work best for that. Analogous colors are any two colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So for example, I just did yellow and green, and when they mixed together, they made that third color, that yellow-green, the tertiary color. You could do red and violet, you could do blue and violet, blue and green, orange and yellow, lots of different analogous colors to choose from. Now, if you want to do two colors that are not analogous, for example, that are complementary, let's say orange and blue, if you want to blend those together, you can. You're going to end up with something kind of brownish in the middle. That's not a problem. It's just something for you to think about as you are choosing your colors. Okay, once you're done coloring in your eye, it's time to go ahead and fold and draw and color the eyelids. So if you unfolded your eye a little bit so that you could color more easily, it's time to fold that back up, just how it was before. Tuck in that triangle, fold it over. Fold the eyelid, you're just gonna fold it one more time, closing the eye, just like that. Now we're gonna draw scales on these eyelids. You've got some choices here as well. You could do scales that are more rounded, that have sort of a semicircle shape. Could do scales that are triangular, starting with a zigzag line, or you could do scales that include different types of squares and rectangles. These, you can see here, they sort of go from larger to medium to smaller. Now you'll notice with all of these scales, we're still working on that value and that shading, so going from dark to medium to light, dark to medium to light. I think I'm gonna go with the classic sort of bumpy scales. I'm gonna do that again in colored pencil. You could also use regular pencil. Still would not recommend using marker. I'm gonna go with purple. Okay. I'm just drawing kind of bumpy line. It's not a wavy line. Wavy lines don't have any corners. Now, when you're drawing scales, it's important that they look like they're overlapping. That's how scales work. They overlap each other. So to get that effect, when you start drawing your next line, you're actually going to start from the center of the previous line. See what I mean? So I'm going from the center of each of these semicircles. That is really key to making it look like a scale. Same thing for triangles. You're going kind of in between each triangle from the first row. I'm just going to finish this up. Making sure I cover this entire piece of paper. You can see that I'm starting to go off the paper a little bit. That's fine, it's gonna make it look more realistic. All right, and then you're going to start your shading, your value. So I'm going from dark to medium to light. Remember, I do this by changing how hard I'm pressing with my pencil. Dark. To make it dark, I press hard. To make it medium, I don't press so hard. To make it light, I press lightly. Now it's going to take a little bit of time to color in all of these scales, but this is just really good practice. This scale is so fundamental to your drawing. Pretty much anything you're drawing, you're going to be using some type of shading. Okay, once you have finished coloring in your scales, it is time to finish up the folding and turn this kind of strange looking shape into a dragon eye. So you're gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna use a little pencil to mark sort of where that straight fold line was and where that vertical fold line was. I'm gonna put a little mark just in the middle so it's easier to see. I'm gonna bring this corner in to that little mark and press. All right, same thing on the other side, bringing this corner in to that little mark and press. All right, this last step is a little bit tricky. If you have a ruler, that can be helpful, but you don't need one. So I'm first gonna show you with a ruler, then I'm gonna show you without. You're gonna line up that ruler to two spots. One spot is right here at the top of that vertical fold, and then right here at sort of the center of your horizontal fold. So you're lining it up, and you're folding your paper over the ruler. The reason the ruler helps is because it gives you a nice straight fold, and the paper's a little bit thick at this point. Take away the ruler, fold it a couple more times, really press it down, open it back up. And you're going to repeat on the other three corners. So the rest I'm going to do without the ruler in case you don't have. So I'm bringing one side, there we go, to that little mark. The other fold right in the middle and press, 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 press. Open it back up. So it's starting to make like a diamond shape. That's going to be the shape of our eye. Same thing with the other corners. So I'm marking where that vertical fold was. I'm going to press it down. Okay, open it back up. Same thing over here. Line it up with that little mark. Press, press, press. And open it up. All right, to finish this up, you're going to take your hands. You're going to pinch together those corners. Flip it around. And there's your dragon eye. Oops, mine's upside down. There we go. And you can make your dragon eye open and close by just moving your hands back and forth a little bit. There we go. Awesome.